Hey guys, welcome to Pet Rambles. I'm Pet and I'm going to ramble about As a Cartoonist by Noah Van Sciver. Not sure how to pronounce his name, but yeah, I actually found out about him last year, I believe, when in October, when I went to Gosh Comics in London and I found Beatty's Rufus, which I've read, I've enjoyed a lot, and I actually wrote the script and I have to record it soon, hopefully. And I started to see what other things Noah has released. And I found out about the complete works of Fante Bukowski. I was like, wait, this is a pretty big thing. It's like 3 numbers here in the complete works. And I was like, I'm going to buy this. And I've read this in 3 days or so, and I absolutely loved it. I was like, okay, this is an interesting author. Let's try to deep dive into the other things that he released. And there were a couple of things on my list, on my Amazon cart, and see where I can buy this, when I can buy this. And I went to Gosh Comics in London again, and I was looking on the shelves what to buy, and I actually spent £100 on comics. Videos coming soon. And I saw this, I was like, okay, it is a biography, autobiography, whatever, memoir. And I'm a big fan of those. It's also, is this like a recurring thing? Where comic books have this need to write autobiographies or something? I'm asking because last year when I bought Beatty's Rufus, I also bought Jinx and Groots by Craig Thompson, which I have no idea who he is, never read anything. I bought this because I love the art style and the packaging in general. I was like, and this is an autobiography book and I should make a video about it. I've made it 230 something pages into it, and I absolutely can't get into it. It's boring. So I'm very much so about biography books, because in order for me to read a biography, I need to care about the person or about the subject that person is. Just to give you an example, I've only read 2. 4 years ago or so, I bought Sid Meier's memoirs. Sid Meier is the author of a good number of video games, more important Civilization series, which is one of my favorite games, and myself as an aspiring game designer, I got it. It was fun, right? But I was interested in the person and his stories and journeys and what advice he has and so on. And then about 10 years ago, I've read Panzer Commander by Hans von Luck. That's because I like World War II, I like history in general. And I've read stuff about World War II, and this was very insightful, very nice to read. So yeah, you can see kind of like what my point. But in this particular case, ginseng roots, I read about ginseng, I read about that, I read about a little bit of that, and then I start reading a little bit about rocks. I'm like, I will just put it on the side. I'm not going to force myself and whatever. I will make a video about it because I want to do a call to people watching and see what other people think about that thing in particular and that subject. So this is why I was a bit so should I buy this autobiography thingy? How is it going to be? And it's also like £19. Not that cheap, right? For something that's took me like 2 days to read, 2 hours or something like that. But it was fun. I did pull the trigger because I liked Noah's other things that you saw, Beat It Rufus and Fante Bukowski. I was like, I'm going to take a chance and just take this, and it is enjoyable. Initially I was like, 3 stars, decent. I tried to use the full range of stars from 1 to 5. 3 stars is not really bad. It's just that something that's decent, okay, you can read it, it's fun. I think I settled on 4 stars. I do enjoy Noah's style of drawing, and I did enjoy his stories, and by that I mean that he is looking at his relationship with his father a little bit on some situations, and that's an interesting point. One interesting point that I wrote down is that I think Noah has like 9 or 10 brothers. He's the 9th or something. But what I mean is that he has a memory of him with his father fishing, but then he's like, I don't think he doesn't think that thing happened. Maybe it was a commercial or something, and his brain generated that memory because he wouldn't have had alone time with his father because of how many brothers and sisters he has. I was like, that's an interesting point of view and a little bit sad at the same time, right? And there is also like a strip here that's where he's speaking with his father or something like that. Also, it's about him trying to make it as a cartoonist, which was a little bit interesting. So there are bits and stories there. Some of them are like 2 pages, 3 pages, 4 pages, or something like that. And at the end, you can also see like all those stories fit into this thing that you've seen, and also when that story, if it appeared in other parts. Blammo 9, for example, has a couple of things. I think Blammo is something that he released it on something, and out of them are never published, and some of them are sold as print. So yeah, I do like what he has done with this. It was enjoyable, it was fun. It was interesting to see how he's seeing himself maybe as a hack sometimes, even that he's popular in his small circle. It was interesting to see the relationship with his brother. I think there are 2 brothers here. I was a bit confused that maybe he's the same brother, but I think one is smaller, one is bigger. One of them is popping up at one of his releases, and he's like his old self brother, and he's like, not here. But then he apologized, sorry for snapping and so on. That was, a funny thing all around. I've also like those bits of 19th century Cartoonist, and it's like different kind of stories, maybe a little bit of a different art style, not too much, but a little bit different. And yeah, it's good that I remember this. There is like this bit where he's playing with his dinosaur, and they are having like a box, and he's playing that like a helicopter thingy, but the box itself like trigger a very, very early memory that I had. Maybe I was like 4 or 5 years old back then. It's also weird, by the way, that I have memories when I'm like, some very short memories when I was like 2 and a little bit, but then I have a couple of good memories when I was 5, for sure, when I was 5 and 6 and so on. And it's like weird. I was like, yeah, that's a memory that I had. I was outside by myself. Like my parents used to, or my grandmother used to be like, yeah, go outside, but you play in front so they can see me from the window and so on. And we start going around doing stuff, burning stuff and so on. And one of the memories that we had was, we had like also kind of like a box of, I'm not sure what that box was. It had holes in it, like maybe they used to, like a cage, but it was a wooden cage or something like that. And I remember like one of the older boys were joking like, go inside, and I went inside, and he pretended to close me in, and I got scared, and I started crying, and they were laughing. And I also have a memory, one of the older boys was like, yeah, he was joking. I understood that he was joking, so I moved on. But I have this memory. It's like weird that I have this memory when I was 4 or 5, and right now, because I'm older and I have friends who have children and they are like 4 and 5, I'm like, they are like babies. How the hell, for once, how am I remember things so well, and how my mind was not, I wouldn't say your mind is mature when you are 5, but your mind is computing stuff, right? It's like, but it's a baby. How can you compute stuff? Anyway, this is why, I mean, it's interesting when you read biographies like this who have like short stories, or they have a funny side to it, because it can trigger stuff for you from your own life, and then you can compare things and maybe see different views that you had. For example, there is one thing. Yeah, I found it. So he is drinking alone at night. So in some place, and the alien comes up, and the alien is kind of like a recurring thing, because when he was little, he saw a UFO or something like that, and he doesn't know what that is, But in this particular case, he has like kind of like, I'm not sure what this is, like a vision or whatever, where the UFOs are coming, like, it landed over there, Gaps, and then the alien says something, wait, don't go, I have so many questions. Tell me, is there a God? The alien says, that's the wrong question to ask. He says, okay, but why am I here? I mean, what's the point of spending so much of my life in a room drawing comics? Am I potentially wasting the only life I have here? Alien says, we like your comics, particularly the early funny one. This is also a recurring joke that happened before. He says, but shouldn't I quit making comics and do something for humanity? Start a charity or become a missionary or something? Alien says, you are not the missionary type. You are a cartoonist. You want to be making, if you want to do making a service, write better comics. We'll keep watching you. So, Another thing that's being addressed here a little bit was his religion. I think his parents were some kind of Mormon or something, and he actually has a pretty big book of Mormon of the guy that's Mormon, and I'm trying to look on buying that. And he's not doing that anymore. He's not going to church anymore, and so on. So he's kind of like soul searching here. And it was interesting because I had some kind of ideas in my head, like some kind of conclusion I drew from my life that, what's your purpose on this planet? Or what are you doing? Well, what's and he's like trying to see that, and he's under this impression. Maybe I'm just thinking out loud right now. Is that, am I wasting my life drawing comics? Shouldn't I be like a missionary or something? Like that thing is more noble, for example, than he's looking at what he's doing, drawing comics. But in the aliens are like, you're not the missionary type, you're a cartoonist, draw comics. And this is kind of like, what's your mission in life? What are you doing? Like, and he's a cartoonist, like, for example, right? I'm repeating on myself. What I want to say is, like, he's a cartoonist. His job is to entertain us. I'm enjoying that he's entertaining me, and this is why I'm buying his comic books, and I'm looking to buy some of his other comic books because I want to read it, and because he hasn't failed me with Billy Rufus and Fante Bukowski, and even this one. So that's his purpose, and I'm doing a parallel with my life here a little bit. Is like, because I also am thinking like, what am I doing? Like I've been all my years I've been trying to make it, but not making as is Hollywood style, making money, surviving kind of like, right? What do I need to learn to do that? What am I going to do on my professional life and so on and so on? And like, and it's getting a little bit tiring sometimes. And I'm thinking like, one of the purpose with this YouTube channel is that I know that I have a little bit of charisma. Maybe not all my videos are that interesting and what I'm saying, and I'm not that coherent and so on. And I'm still trying to improve, that I need some consistency with it. And I'm like, my logic is that, hey, at least I'm putting this charisma a little bit at a good use. Maybe someone will find it enjoyable. And this is why I'm kind of like making those videos and I'm putting myself out there. This is why I'm kind of like sharing those comic books, because maybe you will find something that you will enjoy. And I have some music on my left over here, right, with my and I'm planning to make videos about music because maybe you will find something that you will enjoy listening to and so on. And I don't know why I do have this thing where I'm trying to do this, but it's kind of like my thing to some degree. And it was interesting when I read it. It was interesting to see like, okay, you're a cartoonist. I kind of like knew when he had this epiphany, whatever you call it. And then the aliens answered that. I was like, yep, I agree with the aliens. That's something. And it's, a little bit sad when you have people who are like more than 40 something and you can see them going on social media like, la, 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 and they are like, do your thing that makes you happy. Try to not isolate yourself and put yourself out there, especially if you're an artist or a designer or whatever. But anyway, this is me talking about As a Cartoonist by Noah Van Sciver. Thank you guys for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.